Srini, where did you grew up in India?
So look, I call myself a classical product of many Indias, and I like that. I lived and studied in Hyderabad, in Lucknow, in Uttar Pradesh. So it meant moving around the country. And my college and my CA was back in Hyderabad. I enjoyed myself, and I think what I've realized over the years is you're a product of experiences. There's a different vantage point, there's a different perspective. To gain that, you need to go out and do all of these things, experiment, try and succeed, and in the process fail.
And now you are a global citizen, like having worked in Asia's, Americas, and Europe. And now for the audience, you are staying currently in London. So truly a global citizen. Hi everyone, welcome to the Pursuit of Finance Stories Beyond Numbers podcast. I'm Nidhi, and together with my co-host Tripti, we will take you to the world of finance careers. We will learn from the experiences and sharings from the leaders who have done it all. Either you are a professional who have just begun your career, or you are a seasoned professional, you will have learnings to take away. Today we have Srinivas Phatak with us. He is the Deputy CFO and Controller of Unilever globally. Unilever is one of the largest FMCG company in the world, and Srini was previously also the CFO of the India's largest FMCG company, HUL. He is a chartered accountant with more than 25 years of experience, and we are very happy to have Srinivas Phatak along with us. Welcome, Srini, on our podcast. We are looking forward to the interactions. Welcome, Srini.
So thank you, Nidhi. Thank you, Tripti.
So, Srini, first question, you share about your life story. Uh, what's your experience so far in terms of why you started taking, finance as a career? What's your motivation behind it?
So we can make it sound very knowledgeable and very, thoughtful. My answer is it was a bit of serendipity, a bit of flair for understanding business and numbers. And third, let's be honest, I wasn't very good at the classical sciences of chemistry and physics. So that's why I say it's a combination of a flair for a subject. It's not having the competence in something else, and a serendipity which actually got me into commerce, into finance. Once you got into commerce and finance, and somewhere I always liked real business, right? I really enjoyed understanding how it makes a difference to people's lives, and therefore I kind of ended up with manufacturing. I ended up with an FMCG. While as much as I like investment banking, as much as I like capital markets, but the thrill and the passion of a real running a real business meant that I have kind of stuck around with business finance all these years.
That's an honest answer. Srini, where did you grew up in India?
So look, I call myself a classical product of many Indias, and I like that. Uh, my dad's a Maharashtrian. My mother is from Andhra or now Telangana. My wife is from Himachal. I lived and studied in Hyderabad, in Lucknow, in Uttar Pradesh. So it meant moving around the country. But my schooling predominantly was in Hyderabad and Lucknow, and my college and my CA was back in Hyderabad.
Okay, interesting. And now you are a global citizen, like having worked in Asia's, Americas, and Europe. And now for the audience, you are staying currently in London. So truly a global citizen. So what were your learnings from those experiences? Staying in different cities, having different culture. So what was your key takeaways from there?
I've enjoyed myself, and I think what I've realized over the years is you're a product of experiences. Yeah? Whether it's work, whether it's life, whether it's relationships, whether it's places, whether it's food. It opens up your mind. It gives you what I really say is classically a much broader perspective. Had I continued to only stay in Hyderabad where I was born, my worldview would have been a much smaller worldview. I would have had a few friends, similar backgrounds, same city. I wouldn't get the diversity. I wouldn't get the different perspectives. I wouldn't have learned about that there are multiple points of view. Yeah? And the joy is when you actually experience those different points of view and multiple points of view. Seldom in life there are non-negotiables, which is a yes and a no answer, but many elements there is a different vantage point, there is a different perspective. To gain that, you need to go out and do all of these things, work in different places, live in different places, meet new people, experiment, try and succeed, and in the process fail. It's a package. Yeah? And someone said it many, many years ago, a straight line is boring. What makes anything interesting is an up and a down and an up again hope.
Yeah, straight line is boring. I'll take away from this. तो श्रीनी, आप अपने if you see your 25 years plus career, आपने कौन कौन से मेन रोल्स किए हैं, and for moving from one role to another role आपने कौन से फैक्टर्स कंसिडर किए हैं?
देखिए, अभी 28 साल हो गया है टोटल वर्क एक्सपीरियंस, इफ आई एक्सक्लूड सीए आर्टिकलशिप, अगर वो भी मैं जोड़ लेता हूँ तो 30 साल हो गए हैं। इन दिस जर्नी तकरीबन 12 से 13 डिफरेंट एक्सपीरियंसेस और डिफरेंट रोल्स मैंने किए हैं। द शॉर्टेस्ट वन बीइंग 9 months and the longest one perhaps being 3.5 years. Touched every part of business and finance. I started obviously as a CA firm, so you do lots of auditing. My first role was I did internal audit in ITC. I did that for about 2.5 or 3 years before joining Hindustan Lever. I wasn't as bright as all of you with an all India rank, so I had to take what I say the classically route of working elsewhere and then coming back to HUL. I have worked in a factory. I have worked in a sourcing business. I have worked in treasury. Then I did set up global treasury for markets out of India. Then I did classically a business finance CFO role for our foods and refreshments business in HUL. I did investor relations. So at the age of 40 is the first time I left India and I came to the UK. And there I worked in global strategies, which was deodorants and oral care. How do you build the business globally? Then I worked for supply chain finance in Americas. Came back and ran financial shared services for Unilever. And came back to India to become the CFO for Hindustan Unilever. And now for the last little over 3 years, I'm back in London doing my current job, which is broadly looks at performance for Unilever and also does stewardship, controllership, accounting, reporting, operational controls. दूर से देखे तो ऐसा लगता है कि ये बहुत सोच समझ के मैंने कुछ पैटर्न से बनाया है, but absolutely not. बहुत two simple criteria था. Is it something which I will gain? Is it something new and interesting? अगर मैं ये करूँगा तो will I make a difference for the business? Will I make a difference for the people? If this broadly felt right, I took whatever was offered to me. Right? And I was also fortunate to work with many people who always give me something interesting to do. I will not say easy to do. They always give me something interesting to do. So I don't think I've ever had to think more than 24 to 48 hours before I said yes to the next opportunity. एक ही फर्क था. I kind of I think always played a bit of a long game. मैंने ये कभी नहीं सोचा कि अगर मेरा 1 साल के बाद मेरा क्या होगा या 2 साल के बाद मेरा क्या होगा. I don't know whether I was naive or whether I was very simple. I like to believe I was very simple कि अगर कुछ अच्छा करोगे, कुछ interesting करोगे, कुछ different करोगे, you're building experiences, and if you're building experiences, classically what I will say is you build compounding effect, right? Rather than a simple arithmetic effect, you build up a job metric effect, and that's what I think keeps happening. Classically, if I look back, I'll say I was a slow start to my career. But the collection of the experiences have meant that I've more than made up as a later part of my career in terms of reward, recognition, return, satisfaction, call it whatever.
Wow. आजकल हम लोग सबको चाहिए fast returns. I think for you to share this point, ना श्रीनी, कि wait, not thinking about a long term and not like कि हर 6 महीने में क्या हो रहा है. I think that's very important point because otherwise it creates a lot of discontent. Nowadays job switch happens very fast, or even people just entering into a job they will think about कि क्या होने वाला है, and that also affects in my view their performance as well. So for you to even have that kind of comfort कि हाँ long term में it will all work out, I think ये comfort लाना ही it is itself an art. So hats off to you to share this point.
वो ऐसा नहीं, देखिए बहुत सिंपल सी बात है ना, समवन सेड मेनी इयर्स अगो, एंड एक और चीज मैं बोलता हूँ, सम थिंग्स व्हेन पीपल टेल यू दे स्टिक इन योर हेड. अब क्यों रहता है आपके दिमाग में बोलना मुश्किल है? आप क्या रिस्क ले रहे हो? यू आर टेकिंग अ रिस्क ऑन योर ओन
Hmm.
सेल्फ. करेक्ट. अगर इफ यू हैव द कॉन्फिडेंस कि आप अच्छे हो किसी भी चीज में, नोबडी इज गुड एट
Hmm.
एवरीथिंग, कोई तो चीज़ों में आप अच्छे हो, अगर आपको वो सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस है, अगर आपको बिल्ड कर सकते हो, इफ यू हैव द सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंट
Hmm.
इंटेग्रिटी, you will do well. Everybody is not going to become a CEO and a CFO. Doesn't matter. Just becoming a CEO or CFO doesn't make you
Hmm.
successful. Enjoying what you do, building on those experiences, and making money. Everyone wants to work hard because they also want to enjoy good
Hmm.
things in life. That balance is what really starts to make a difference. And ये थोड़ा सा टाइम देना पड़ेगा ना. इफ यू टेल मी दैट लुक व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड इन माय लाइफ, मैं जब 25 का था मैं ऐसे सोचता था, मैं नहीं सोचता
Hmm.
था. बट इक्वली मैं आई वाज रिलैक्स्ड. मैं हर 1 साल 2 साल 3 साल में मैं ये नहीं कर रहा था कि मैं बाहर क्यों
Hmm.
जाऊं. सबसे अच्छा अपॉर्चुनिटी आपके पास वही है जो आपके पास है आज के दिन में.
Hmm.
The opportunity in front of you is the best opportunity you have. If you don't make the most out of it, फिर आप क्या करते
तो
हो?
Srini, आपका क्या strategy रहा to have confidence in your ability? Is this something was natural या आपने कुछ उसके लिए कोई specific practice किया?
देखो यार, वी ऑल हैव टू प्रैक्टिस. यू गेट बेटर विथ प्रैक्टिस. ठीक है. आई मीन अगर वो कोई कहता है कि सम ऑफ यू विल हैव अ लिटिल मोर नेचुरल फ्लेयर फॉर समथिंग, सम ऑफ ईच वन इज डिफरेंटली वायर्ड. मतलब अगर आप क्लासिकली देखो तो आई बीन अ प्रोडक्ट ऑफ व्हाट आई विल कॉल एज अ मिडिल
Hmm.
क्लास इंडिया. दोनों पेरेंट्स बैंक में काम करते थे, हम स्कूल जाते थे, कॉलेज जाते थे, पढ़ाई करते थे. बट देयर वाज ऑलवेज दिस होप कि टुमारो विल बी बेटर देन
Hmm.
टुडे. राइट. इंडिया इज and I believe that whether India it was 25 years ago, whether it India it's today, we always believe that we are capable. We believe that we can create a brighter future, right? But to be honest, हमारा कोई खास बैकग्राउंड था नहीं. सीए फर्म में गया मैं पहली बार तो आई थिंक आई इवन टुक अ फ्लाइट लेट whatever 18s or
Hmm.
20s. When you start auditing, you go into companies and start you first get is you get overawed by what
Hmm.
you see, right? When you join a company like an ITC or you join a company like Levers, then you start to saying, boss, ये क्या
Hmm.
है, right? Because that's much larger than what you ever experienced
Hmm.
in life. But look, simple सी बात है, बोलो मुझे नहीं मालूम, like नहीं मालूम, बैठेंगे, सीखेंगे, पढ़ेंगे, बातें करेंगे लोगों से,
Hmm.
एंड रिस्क लेंगे. देखो, लाइफ में थोड़ा तो लेना पड़ेगा
Hmm.
रिस्क. थिंग्स विल वर्क आउट गुड, थिंग्स विल नॉट वर्क आउट गुड. And आप करते रहोगे and suddenly you realize this, like positive energy builds on positivity, confidence builds on confidence.
Hmm.
If you go negative, equally it's a spiral. So मैं कोशिश करता हूँ, मैं अभी भी कोशिश करता हूँ, एंड अभी भी मैं कोशिश करता हूँ कि कैन आई ट्राई एंड डू समथिंग न्यू एंड डिफरेंट. अभी भी टेंशन होता है. इफ आई एम ऑनेस्ट, बिफोर आई केम ऑन कैमरा विद यू with Tripti and you, I may have done this many times. I still get a little nervous.
Unbelievable,
I still
right?
need to have my glass of I still need to have my glass of water because a little bit of positive tension is good. So the only way I will say is that keep experimenting, keep trying. Everything gets easier with
Hmm.
practice.
Yeah, easier with practice. But ये unbelievable point आपने बोला कि even you get nervous now. See, you have handled the largest FMCG company of India. इसके beyond, if you say कि you get stressed at times, I think this is then true for all of us. Sometimes we show or sometimes we doesn't show that. So that's
Because just because someone is, look, you need to distinguish between a bit of an aura and a presence and a position versus what everyone feels, right? ठीक है, अगर आप दूर से देखोगे तो everyone looks very confident on stage and can look very relaxed. That comes with practice. But थोड़ा सा सबका होता है. The pressure of performance is always
Hmm.
there. The bigger the stage, the bigger the stakes, the more the pressure.
Hmm.
But you suddenly can't wake up and say, today I will handle pressure and tomorrow I won't. So try and handle it every single
Hmm.
day. Like, that's what ऐसा classically मैं कुछ quotes बोलूँगा. जैसे Unilever is to make small actions make a big difference, right? Weight loss happens when you are disciplined every
Yes.
single day. Yeah, eat less, exercise more. So it's all of that. It's a routine, it's a discipline, it's a practice. Whether it is work, whether it's friends, whether it's relationship, whether it's parenting, anything.
Sure. So, Srini, when you were the CFO for HUL, market capitalization had more than doubled. And also, both on top line and bottom line, there was a very healthy growth. And if I see you are the number two in finance in Unilever, you have been so successful. So, आपके लिए top three skills जो contribute किए success के लिए वो कौन सी हैं?
So that's what I say. Look, it's very difficult to call out three because end of the day you became a CFO after practicing for 20 years, right? मैंने काम करना शुरू किया था somewhere in the mid 90s and by the time I became a CFO it was 2017. So I look. This is what someone said very nicely. You'll give a bit of an executive
Hmm.
summary, but that's not necessarily the right answer. Yeah, because it never tells you the ups, the downs, and what you have learned and how you have progressed. But if I were to try and at least crystallize it into two or three
Hmm.
things, and that will be true of anyone. One is be extremely good at what you bring to the table. You're a finance
Hmm.
person. Be a very, very good finance person, first and foremost. Then I will say with a world view.
Hmm.
हाँ, वो उसके साथ ऐड करता हूँ. वो अपना स्प्रेडशीट में घुस के मत बैठिए, जरा देखिए अपने चारों तरफ क्या हो रहा
Hmm.
है. Today, what happens perhaps in the US has got bigger implications to crude, and that has got bigger implications to your business than what is happening next week.
Yes.
Yeah. So therefore, getting that business view with your functional view and a world
Hmm.
view, I think is an important one because that's where you first and foremost make a difference.
Okay.
Second element is how will you manage your
Hmm.
energy? How will you manage your time? How will you manage your emotions? साथ में जाते हैं.
Hmm.
दिन उतना ही है, आप काम उतना ही कर सकते हो. So how are you getting that balance between your energy, emotions and your time management becomes super super important. ये मैनेज करोगे, नए चीज़ें कर पाओगे, डिफरेंट चीज़ें कर पाओगे, बैलेंस रख पाओगे. The last thing I'll say is that tell a story, right? Tell a story and tell a damn good story. Yeah, like we are doing this podcast and as we were talking before the podcast, 5 minute तो कोई नहीं सुनेगा, 2 minute you were telling me कोई नहीं सुनता है. If you have 30 seconds, what's your 30-second pitch?
Hmm.
So each one of us has to be a storyteller. So अगर मैं summarize करूँ, I will say very good functional skills with a world view, manage your energy, manage your emotions, manage your time, be a very good storyteller.
That's very interesting. And the point about storytelling is when people say, then do you have your elevator pitch ready? Like, you're meeting someone and can you share what you're trying to do in 30 seconds? That makes it like uh, that makes a huge difference in how we are being
Yeah.
seen by the others. But storytelling, बहुत difficult है
Somebody
finance
once,
professionals को आना.
I'll give you one example. Sorry to interrupt, I'll give you one example. Whenever you get into an interview, whenever you go and meet people, typically the first warm-up question people will say, why don't you introduce
Hmm.
yourself? Right? And that's where you lose people. वो शुरू करते हैं, खत्म ही नहीं करते
Hmm.
हैं. So somebody once forced me to say, if I were to ask you to introduce yourselves in 1 minute, क्या होगा? 2 minutes क्या होगा? Or 3 minutes क्या होगा? Right? And therefore, you're prepared to say which version of my introduction am I playing.
Wow. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. 3 minute version of the.
It's not 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. No, yeah, one, two, and three. Because the shorter the time, that's when you really have to become focused to then say क्या करते हो. You're a brand. You are a brand. I am a brand. कौन सा ad 20 सेकंड आजकल कोई 20 सेकंड का ad नहीं
Hmm.
देखता है. If no one looks at a 20-second ad, why will they want to listen? Yeah, get them interested. It's like a hook.
Yes.
Then you can have a longer conversation.
Yeah, that's so true. So for the viewers, for everyone, I think create your 30-second, 1 minute pitch about you so that people get hooked on to talk to you. Great.
Okay, let's try and make it slightly politically not so correct. It's a speed dating, right? In speed dating, you don't have 5 minutes and 10 minutes to continue to go. If you get somebody interested, then maybe you get your 5 minutes and ten
Hmm.
minutes. Well, not my age for speed dating, but why not?
Yeah,
Use example.
but there would be many of our viewers would be in that age group. So it's a good suggestion. Even for speed dating, it helps.
100%.
Sure. So if we move on to a fun question, and if there is any superpower which you aspire, which will further enhance your performance, what would that be, and how would you use it?
Superpowers. Well, that's tough one. And I was thinking about it, saying, what superpower? I don't think I really would like a superpower,
Okay.
right? Look, end of the day, we're human. So वहीं से शुरू करते हैं. Uh, I think if I were to go and do this, I will work more on my health, right? And I'll tell you because, and I've said this in the past, you're running a marathon. And for running a marathon, you need long-term stamina. And to get that long-term stamina, you really need to be healthy, right? And I spent my 30s not being very healthy. I was overweight. I was sluggish. So one thing which I will, if I genuinely want to work on, is continue to work on health. And health just doesn't mean I want to really be fit. I really want to be fit. I want to be active. So if I can double up on something, I would like to double up on those elements. That just helps you manage everything around.
Yeah, sure. It gives a lot of energy. I think that's really a superpower if all of us can remain healthy.
So look, it is sustainable power, which can help you remain superhuman for a long period of time.
Yeah. So I wish you have that power immediately. That's my wish for you. Now I'm taking you to your like 30 years old self. Is there any life changing experience
Oh.
which you had, faced either at that time or later on which really changed the perspective? मतलब आप जैसे पहले चीजों को देखते थे वैसे एकदम चेंज ही कर दिया आपने. Something which is of that kind of nature.
So look, multiple things. As I said, look, it's very difficult because in a manner when you look back, there is a collection of experiences. Right? It's it's very easy or difficult to pick one. Yeah, because it's a perspective that you will give. Uh, if I look back, I think first time moving out of Hyderabad and actually going to Lucknow was life defining. लैंग्वेज बदल गया, फूड बदल गया, वर्ल्ड पर्सपेक्टिव बदल गया, दुनिया बहुत बड़ी लगने लगी थी. Because when I was in Hyderabad, my life was 4 kilometers, give or take radius. In those days, Hyderabad was again a smallish town. आज के दिन में मैं हिंदी बोलता हूँ. It's all because otherwise I can typically speak like a Hyderabadi. मेरा language बदल गया because of those 6-7 years that I spent in Lucknow. So in a manner, that was the first time my eyes opened up to the world. Right? I really enjoyed that. If I pick another experience, this was in my career. Uh, I was asked to lead global treasury and set up some treasury desk for Asia. I, we wanted to do it. I had no mandate. So the countries did not have to listen to me.
Okay.
And we were starting from scratch. and people didn't trust. Okay, at least a couple of senior leaders did not believe that I could do it, and that was a sink or a swim movement. And then that's when then I say, how do you then start to build alliances? How do you start to sell a story? How do you start to go and pitch a business? I still remember getting the regional vice president finance was in India on a visit, and I got 15 minutes to talk to him. That's the first time I did a sales pitch. That sales pitch got me invited to the regional finance conference in Singapore, where I did again a sales pitch, multiple sales pitches, which therefore gave us what I would call classically business, and we transitioned 25 countries. Till such time, I thought I was good functionally, but I never realized that I could actually sell, pitch, get business, manage transition. So two examples, one in a personal life, how it opens up your life. Second is classically sink or swim moment, which then starts to say, yeah, मैं बहुत कुछ कर सकता हूँ. You just have to dig deeper in, and then you'll realize, well, voice भी नहीं था, if you were to put it this way, but करते हो.
Sure. But there are two important points, Srini. One is about the trust. एक तो आपने communication solve किया through a pitch. Whatever time you got, you told them a story and got them on your board. But I think एक और जो challenge जो होता है, which is to gain trust, especially if you look at like cross culturally. Sometimes we trust the people who are similar to us. दूसरे पे हम trust नहीं करते हैं. तो वो चीज आपने अपने आप वो कैसे आपने उसको मॉड्यूलेट किया कि वो आपको ट्रस्ट.
So look, आपको build करना पड़ेगा. Look, as I keep saying, you can only build with what you have, right? The first time we had the first three countries. So we worked incredibly well to deliver everything the three countries wanted, right? And then you take that story and then you tell and peddle and saying that, listen, if I can handle a Singapore, a Malaysia, if I can handle a Hong Kong, and if I could handle something else, why don't you talk to them? But the best way is that we gave them 150% service. Now pick those three, then pitch to the next three. Then you take your time. Then you work and build for the next six. Then what you realize is the moment you've done this 1, 2, 3, 4 waves, now you have then started to establish the credibility, you've started to establish a brand, and then the scale up is much faster. Look at it this way, business story. पहले 10 करोड़ बिजनेस सेटअप करना एक्सट्रीमली डिफिकल्ट, उसको 50 करोड़ बनाना बहुत मुश्किल, 200 करोड़ बनाना वेरी टफ, 200 करोड़ के बाद आपका जो you can your ability to build it comes much faster
because people start trusting on you at that point of time.
When you start, the word of mouth spreads, the value that it brings spreads, your brand starts to get more traction, and then it starts to build. See, the more, and what you'll also realize is the more the senior people, right? Look, everyone's got time constraint, everyone has multiple things to do, right? But they trust people because they know what I see is what I get. So more and more, if you see, this is what I have realized over the years. In the younger years, you test people on multiple things. The more senior you go, you start trusting people on whether you trust this person to do the right thing, to tell you if things are wrong, will they come up front and tell you? Yeah, which is the other important element. Finally, when you see all senior level appointments, आपको एक जॉब के लिए 2-3 लोग मिल जाएंगे जो 19-20 का फर्क होगा, लेकिन finally the people who will get the job are the people you think you can trust, you can work with, and you'll never be blindsided. That starts to make a big difference.
Yeah, sure. I can relate to it. Even मैंने अपनी teams में, there were some people who were not like very great performance also, but very high on commitment levels and trust level. उनके साथ I was able to work and manage it. But people who were even though very high performer, but अगर trust factor नहीं है, then it was better off कि वो team का ही part नहीं हो. So जो आपका point है, Srini, that's very fair. And I think in our selection of our teams we work with, either our juniors or our senior, दोनों में ये important integrity is the important element which all of us seek will be always there. So if on this moment, if you think about it, is there any advice from your mentor, from your previous boss, which got stuck with you?
Listen, plenty. Yeah, or I can recollect stuff which I heard 30 years ago. I can recollect stuff which would have happened as late as last week. Uh, First thing when I heard this is almost 30 years ago, and I was trying to move from ITC to levers, and I was trying to give some gyan on why I was going and something about motivation and not being motivated enough. And then that person looked at me and a senior leader, and I said, "Why does motivation have to be external to you? Why are you searching for external factors? Because end of the day, it has to come from within, and you have to create that energy, that excitement, and that motivation." It didn't connect to me then, but over the years, when I look back, it's absolutely right. I cannot depend on some external factor to give me that energy, excitement, motivation. It will have to come within. So that stuck with me. One person said many years later when I was working with him, look, everybody works hard. So why should only you be recognized versus others? Everyone, a lot of us have this pet peeve of saying, हम तो काम करते हैं, तुम भी करते हो, तुम्हारे बाजू वाला भी करता है, तुम्हारे सामने वाली लड़की भी करती है, सब काम करते हैं. So his pitch to me was, do a good job and then tell a good story, right? तभी तभी जाके लोग, you will break out of the clutter to say, why are you? And he said, don't be naive. That is world. That is reality. I think that simplicity of the message and that stop being naive, I think, really resonated with me. So first do a good job. That's a sequence, and then tell a good story. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? A few years later, somebody said, "Listen, how do you grow?" Because each one of us has this classical question of saying, "How do I get to the next level?" And someone gave me a very simple answer. He said, "Can you replace your boss? Can you do everything that your boss is doing? And if in today's position, if you're able to do everything your boss is doing, you're already operating at that level, right? Simple and easy to understand, right? And therefore do." And I tell you, as latest as last week, as you keep getting senior, you want to, you always have something else to look at. Environment is bad, something else has happened. And I think my boss said something like, never a victim, never in denial, right? Which again I thought is extremely powerful. So again, at senior levels, you're not a victim of your circumstances, and be brutally honest about what is the truth. So don't be a victim and don't be in denial. So I'm giving you four different phases of life where things appeal to you differently, because I am not my 30-year-old self. So that message was good for me then. This message is good for me today, and many
Yeah.
more. And I'll always say, finally, magic happens because some words stick in your head. It's never pages.
Yeah, that is so true. In fact, आपको अगर 30 years पुरानी बात याद है, that means that has must have really stuck on with you. नहीं तो फिर भूल जाते हैं हम लोग. और ये एडवाइस भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, स्पेशली व्हेन वी स्टार्ट आवर करियर, राइट? हम लोग हमेशा अगर एक्सटर्नल मोटिवेशन देखेंगे तो इट मे और मे नॉट कम, बट उसके कारण वी कैन नॉट अफेक्ट आवर वर्क.
And एक और चीज है, and I'll say this, Nidhi, is keep your memories fresh. भूलोगे, हमेशा आप भूलोगे. And this is what I do when I like something. I try and write it down somewhere. I write it down in a piece, and I keep going back and looking at some of those pieces, because you also have to make an effort to keep some memories fresh. Because end of the day, आपके हार्ड डिस्क में उतना ही स्पेस है, आपको कुछ चीज़ें निकालनी पड़ेंगी, कुछ फ्रेश चीज़ें डालनी पड़ेंगी. बट अगर आप लिखते हो and you have that ability to go back and look, it's like your Google photos. आप जाके 5 साल पहले भी देख सकते हो, 10 साल पहले भी देख सकते हो. Do it on your own personal learnings. कहीं लिखो and go back and take a look. And that's how you'll hold on to that learning and that passion.
Great. See, you have worked in Asia, Europe, America, and you have also worked like with stakeholders of those culture as well as teams. So if you can share like how you adopted your leadership style, because same leadership style मेरा view ये है कि may not work in every circumstances or every country. So आपने कैसे modulate किया, and is there any advice to us if we get into a role like this which involves different culture people?
I struggled. I tell you, the first time I came out of the country, 2012, After the first 3 months, I had to go back and take some cultural training because what I was saying versus how people were receiving it
Mhm.
was just not right. Uh, First is you have to listen and understand. I think our ability over the years, and I say this, we don't listen enough. Yeah, and I want to say this. I should. I'll say it anyway. It's amongst friends. When we work in an Indian operating environment, we have this habit of talking at each other, right? And somewhere we'll figure it out. हाफ एन आवर आगे पीछे करेंगे उसके बाद हमको समझ में आ जाएगा किसको क्या करना है वो बाहर नहीं चलने वाला है तो पहले आप सुनो लोगों को so listen to them and what they say. Second is when you have to share your points of view, think through and structure them. One of the things which I realized when you're in India is you start talking in parallel you're thinking. Because we think we have a command over language and we think English is easy for us, doesn't mean that we are succinct, doesn't mean that we are structured. So if you are able to say, if we want to, and someone gives a good example, today, what am I trying to get out of this meeting? What are the 5 things which I want to establish and land? And to land these 3 things or 5 things, these are my 3 arguments. Can you just structure that in your mind, then start talking? I tell you what, it will make you seriously more productive whether you're in India, whether you're working outside. The third element is control the pace at which you speak. Yeah, sometimes we speak very fast. It's not necessarily that everyone keeps up with you in terms of your pace of talking. Fourth, I will always say is find what is that emotional hook. Why should they talk to you a little more? If you are in the UK, between weather and football, that's your icebreaker to at least give yourselves that you get over the first 30 seconds 60 seconds, as I kept saying, to find a way to engage with people. These are all what I told you style differences, because at the end of the day that's the only element that you need to work on is listen and work on an adaptive style. People are as intelligent anywhere else, people are as business savvy anywhere or not. There is not much of a difference. It's just finding that hook, listening, finding that hook, structuring your thoughts, and communicating with clarity. I'll tell you this, and I used to get this feedback when I used to engage with Unilever folks. When 5 words can do, I would use maybe 30 words.
Okay.
Why? And that's a good question to ask. Because you're expecting someone to pay attention to a lot of that to synthesize the 5 words that you really want to talk about. क्यों करना चाहिए?
और आपको क्या लगता है कि the same thing which you say shared about UK and when you were in Americas, so was it even
It
different?
works. It's a different topic. Let's just find a different topic. It's like this. You come to India, right? Let's do it the other way around. Let's say somebody who's from US or LATAM comes to India. They'll talk to you about Bollywood, they'll talk to you about cricket, and they can talk to you about food. You like them already, right? Even if they know a little bit about all these three, and if they can pick up one local custom and talk to you in one local language, you already like them. You're going to give them that 5 minutes more to listen to what they're trying to say. So it's very simple. Human beings are very simple.
Yeah, I also. But that,
Don't make it very difficult for them to get
yeah,
it.
that's a good point you mentioned. Actually, we also like them, if someone is talking about any festival, etc.
And even those ice-breaking couple of minutes, even on a call, makes that conversation a bit more interesting. And to be honest, what they'll tell you 1 or 2 things you learn in the process. It's fun.
Yeah, very nice. In Srini, in all of your roles, right, and specifically in your the current roles or when you were the CFO for India entity, all you are in so much in public, you will have a lot of pressure, either it is from investors or from board, and even from media also sometimes if the results are not that great. So how do you manage that pressure? How do you deal with that kind of situation? And it could be also internal pressure. So there could be, if you just reflect upon, every year we may not have the same kind of performance, and there would be always pressure. तो उसको कैसे manage किया आपने? What's your trick?
So listen, yeah, so pressure was inevitable, no? I'm sure I was nothing I did is equal to Rohit Sharma's pressure when he was either playing a T20 World Cup or a 50 World Cup.
Yes, they are
The
also,
expectations of a
are
billion
so much
people
under
looking.
pressure. That's
Hmm.
true.
So anything I have done, nothing compares to those kind of pressures. I never had a billion people looking at what I'm doing. Look, answer for this again packs the same thing, right? It's what I call is classically जिंदगी में एक balance होना चाहिए. Yeah. After a point in time, now don't take yourself and your job that seriously.
Hmm.
Get some good night's sleep, work hard, do the right things, keep your health going, practice on handling pressure.
That's a great point.
And one last thing is, I think somebody said this, there is an expiry date for everything. There's an expiry date for being sad, feeling sad. There's an expiry date for being elated. So it's almost like you'll have to keep emptying your hard disk because your capacity and memory is only so much. Remove some of those old experiences, remove some of those negative experiences, then you create space for new ones.
Sure.
And look, hoga, there'll be some days which will be shitty. Let's be honest. Hoga. Everything is not under your control.
Its trick is about ki how soon you come back from it.
टाइम लगता है किसी में कुछ नो some things may be a few hours, something is a couple of days. Don't let anything linger on more than 3 or 4 days. You have to distract yourselves with something else before you can cope with. That's my mechanism. I'm not saying it works with anything. So I'll first try and distract myself into other things, and in the process I learn how to cope with the difficulty.
To finance professionals who are starting their career or who are in their mid careers, what they should do more of, what they should do less of, what they can learn from their peers in different part of the world.
So listen, I don't know because it's a very everyone's wired differently. Yeah? First, you have to acknowledge and appreciate that because there cannot be an answer which applies to everyone. I can give you for someone who's like me, maybe. Be bold and be brave. Take risks. Yeah? Because I tell you what, until you are in that place to not take risks and do some bold things, how will you ever discover how good you are or how good you can be? Yeah, so that is something which I will absolutely encourage. Take risk, take more risk on yourselves, especially when you're younger in your life. Yeah, you don't have to worry about an EMI and a kids and your family. So that's a time to be crazy, bold you. Later on, you will still be crazy, bold you, but with some risk framework around it. Yeah, so but that's something which I will always encourage you to do. Second, I'm saying the world outside is changing dramatically. Finance and tech are blurring completely. So it's almost that you need to be in this constant space of reinventing some of your own skills and capabilities. In many organizations, if you see who's a finance professional, you willy-nilly end up it's being finance is person who's tech savvy or math
Yeah.
savvy. So continue to build on some of those skills becomes super important. Third, I will say is that listen, get feedback. Get feedback about where are you good. Get feedback about where can you be better. And I use a tennis analogy. You're good with your forehand. Then can it be the best forehand in town? Right? Your backhand is never going to be as good as your forehand. But can your backhand stop being the weakness? And can your backhand really be something which keeps you in the game, which therefore then gives you a chance to hit your forehand? So, and the only way you'll start learning, well, backhand and forehand feels very intuitive, but feedback in terms of what you do well and what you don't do well sometimes isn't that great. The last thing I'll say is listen, and maybe this is also my regret. Go and do different things in life. Try art, try music, try sports, try something else. it opens up in a very strange manner your skills and capabilities. If you want to be a good finance professional, I'm asking you to do all those other things. It may not be intuitive, but it opens you up as a personality. And if I were to go and do things all over again, I would do some of these things uh, back in my life.
And someone who is like, just starting, and when we, for example, from CA perspective, we do have internships or articleship, they call it. So we have seen people of all kinds. Some people who focus on it, some people who do not focus on that. What's your view or the guidance to the people out there who are just starting, whether internships and focusing on learnings across various different functions? Does it help? Has it helped you?
I think it's incredibly helped me because end of the day, I I got into PwC that gave me a worldview to audit ITC, right? That's where I started learning about large corporates, and then it helped me join ITC post my articles. And because I learned what I learned there, it helped me get into Unilever. So in your early stages in your life, it's an incredible experience. Why would you not? I mean, to be honest, that was the only thing which, looking backwards, which helped me. That experience of audit and the experience of looking at new and different businesses got me into a very different state of preparedness when I was ready for my job. Right? From an average person who has not done enough audits. I knew a lot about paperboard, financial services, tobacco, hotels, and God knows whatever else. Imagine there are 5 or 6 or 7 different things which I learned during that articleship phase. That's internships, that articles, that's the experience. You ask me, why do CAs and MBAs sometimes don't go up at the similar pace? If you use your internships and articles sensibly to explore all of this, seriously, you're spending more time than what an MBA would learn in a classroom session in a year or two. So, what happens? There's a one difference between CA and MBA. MBA gives you a curriculum and gets you to follow it to get that worldview. CA does not, no, CA, there is no structure which helps you get that world. Yeah, the articles and the internship and the firm have to make you do. What CA makes you do is go deep into, whether it's accounting, tax, or corporate law, or whatever else. That's where you need a little bit of zoom out, understand what's going on. It's not that difficult. Once we end up going very narrow, in the other we start going with broad. And the broader, in an interview situation, for all the things we said, the 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, which they're just a little more interesting than when you come with only a very in-depth knowledge and understanding. That's why in a few years from now, or rather, let me rephrase, after you get over the barrier of the first few years, seldom does anyone say, is this person an MBA or a CA? Depending on how you are able to pick up things and grasp and learn and go. Right? It doesn't matter.
So, what has been your ways of working? Like, you are responsible for entire world in terms of performance management, controllership. So, keeping yourself up to date about what's happening in various part of the world, how do you even get time to it? Or is there any quick way which you can suggest, which all of us can follow?
So let's be honest. Let's be again honest. This is what I keep saying. Be humble and hungry. I don't manage the entire world. There are many people who help me, and that's how we collectively manage performance of stewardship. Yeah. How do I learn? I read, right? I read, and I read every day. I read a Financial Times. I read every day a Bloomberg. That's good way to keep abreast of what's going on. Off late, I've started to really pick up podcasts. Actually, it's quite nice. If you have 20 minutes and you're going for a walk, or you're going for a run, or I'm going commuting from home to office, it's quite good. 20-25 minutes, you can put on your earpods, listen, and it sticks, and you learn. There are sometimes you need to put pressure on your own self and go back to reading, and the best way is to commit. For example, I know some elements about sustainability and not a lot. I committed myself to actually go and talk in an external forum.
Okay.
That means I had no running away. That means that, like a good student, There I was back sitting and taking material and every day sitting and working hard because it's the pressure of positive performance. I want there and not let myself down, which basically meant that you go back and you read. So, short answer, no shortcut to proper structured hard work. The mechanisms and the mediums can be you can read, you can listen, you can talk to people. That's where it is.
Okay, interesting. I think the point about committing, I can relate to it. So when I was doing my CA, I had one subject I was weak at. So I started teaching that subject to my friend. And in order to do that, I had to like really equip myself to teach. So that helped. So I think this is important. If you don't know a subject, commit to someone.
And commit to someone where you will be disgraced if you don't do well. No point in committing to your spouse because then you'll fight with your spouse, yeah? And you'll argue yourself out. You have no look. वो कहता है ना वो शर्म आ जाएगी लोगों के सामने आपका वो हो जाएगा फिर आपका ना बदनामी हो जाएगी अगर
अगर
आप
आपने ठीक से
नहीं
नहीं
कर
बोला
पाए
तो हाँ ये भी पॉइंट वैलिड है अपने स्पाउस से कमिट करके तो वी कैन ऑलवेज फाइंड एक्सक्यूजेस
कुछ नहीं करने पे तो हम करते हैं
दैट इज वेरी कॉमन
I'll give you one example not to like I've never run beyond 5-6 kilometers कभी कभी भागता हूँ मैं but I never ran beyond 5 or 6 kilometers. But the other day, I actually ran my first 10K in London.
that's
Right?
an achievement.
Look, I felt good. Yeah, separate issue that when I was slightly stupid because I did not practice enough or whatever else. But the fact that I've now done it. Now every Saturday I play badminton. Come hell or high water, that is one thing which I do. I play about badminton for 2.5 hours. I get my backside kicked because I play with people who are in their 20s, 30s. I also play with people who are my age. But it's fun. It's that energy and that excitement and the activity. It's great. So yes, I am doing some of these things. I can do more of them.
Yeah, all the best for doing that. Actually, taking to your interesting movie or book, something which has really inspired you, if you want to share with us.
Look, a few books appeal from time to time. Few movies appeal from time to time, and the flavor keeps changing. There's a book which I've always liked for a bit is Factfulness. It's slightly old. It's been 3 or 4 or 5 years old, but I think in this world of it's everything is opinion, everything is a point of view. Stepping back to saying what are facts and therefore having a very objective view of life. I genuinely like. There was another book by Jonas Johansson, a 100-year-old man steps out of the window and disappears. It's again a very interesting story about how even at that age someone goes and how he connects the story in terms of experiences, seeing the world, doing different things, taking bet on yourself. Again, something intuitively appeals to me. A Tintin or an Asterix always appeals to me. Look, I go and read them again and I reread them. All-time classics. Look, just to relax, just to look at the spirit of adventure. It's always fun. It's always interesting. Movies is a bit difficult because look, flavor keeps changing from time to
What's
time.
the current flavor?
Some are I don't know. Of late, genuinely, in the last, not in the past few weeks and months, never caught something interesting. But like again, there's a bit of a nostalgia. Like Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara is again a very interesting movie which I keep going back to. Yeah, it's about again what do you want to do with your own self and where do you want to play has always been an interesting one. So yeah, if you ask me, that's one of those movies which will always come back and say, look, there are 3 or 4 Hindi movies generational. Like जब आया था दिल चाहता है felt like very
It
refreshing and
was
very
cult at
different.
that
Like
time.
जिंदगी ना मिलेगी right? जिंदगी ना मिलेगी दोबारा felt very different. आप अगेन सुन सकते हो if you ask me again आपने बहुत सारा 30-year-old self कर दिया तो दिल वाले दुल्हनिया ले जाएंगे was very interesting at that point in time. So yeah,
But really, the movies
I'm
you
not even
mentioned
trying
are
I'm
my
not trying
favorite too. I mean, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, that's the whole motto about this movie, but it's so interesting to see that. Yeah, that. Excellent choices you have, Srini. So Srini, you are an amazing person, and you're from your life. If you just go back, there would be so mentors, bosses, or your family members who have supported you. We would like to take this opportunity to thank them, to bring Srini in front of us, to bring Srini who inspires so many of young finance professionals. Srini, would you like to name some few?
So look, I can name a lot of them. Look, as I said, I've been so fortunate to work with so many people. Uh, Kannan, I don't know whether you guys, most of you may not know, he was the head of my boss in exports. Yeah. Uh, Kannan is a great boss. I think from him I have learned entrepreneurial spirit. I learned how to really take care of people. He went way beyond, and I was working for him for I think hardly 3 months. I had some personal issues and I was stuck in some part of the country. He left all his work. He flew down to help me and get got me out of a mess in my life. I mean, who does that? So in a manner, I'm always eternally grateful to him for not only learning how to do business, but also actually how to be a good human being. I think that's an incredible piece. I've worked with Balaji. You guys know, he's an incredible boss. I love his lateral ability to think laterally, ability to really think very differently. I worked with Sridhar and I really enjoyed working with Sridhar. I think an incredible person, uh, very values driven, very principled. I genuinely like that. I worked with Mr. Sundaram. Again, a classic super CFO. I think I've learned extremely amount of things from him. I've genuinely worked with Sanjeev Mehta. I genuinely enjoyed working with one of the best CEOs that I've worked in my life with Sanjeev Mehta. A special partnership, and you can really think about how to build businesses, sustainable businesses. I think it's an incredible experience. I've not worked directly, but I've seen people like Leena, I've seen people like Nitin. Again, how do you really make most out of what you have and incredibly build superb? I've seen someone like a Kalpana Morparia again as a board member, not that I directly was reporting to her, but her passion for business, her passion for building women leaders, and I think something if you can talk to her, you should. She's incredibly committed to building women leaders, and I think I really admire her. I think that's a wonderful things. And I can go on and on, but I think it's also equally good to recognize some of the great women leaders I've worked with and who reported to me, yeah, but have been incredible or have been my peers. At the risk of taking a few names and not the others, if I look at somebody like Anita Bhatt, if I look at someone like a Suman Hegde, if I look at someone like a Nasha Gopalakrishnan, incredible bunch, right? They were as hungry, as competitive, as competent as anyone else, while they also had to take care of their families and their children and their extended responsibilities. When I compare myself, did I have to do so many things? No, perhaps not. I was only having to do good at work. So it's also incredible sometimes to realize what it takes. For example, my mother and my father both work in a bank. Like my mother not only had to work, but also had to cater to us. So there are many things that you learn, and it's just not from a boss. You can also learn from peers, and you can learn from others. Yeah, so incredible. And look, I've been fortunate, and I also had one or two not so good experiences. But in the true spirit of I can only hold good memories and valuable memories in my hard disk, I've erased those.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Srini. I want to take this opportunity to thanks Balaji, Sridhar, Kannan, Mr. Sundaram, Sanjeev Mehta, Kalpana Murthy, Anita, Suman, and Asha, and your mother and father and your family members for making such a great contribution in your life.
Incredible. Look, even look at even for example, and I'll have to acknowledge at least whether you keep it or not, it doesn't matter. Look, my wife had to make lots of sacrifices. She's a doctor, so every time we moved countries, we couldn't work. That takes a lot. But look, as I said, incredibly privileged and proud that so many
I
help.
am so thankful to your wife to help in your journey. and it is not easy. I complete, especially when both the husband and wife are working. It's so
You
difficult.
know this. You know this. Yeah, you know this very well more than anyone else.
Yeah.
The dual careers are always there.
So Srini, can you share the name?
Of my wife? Yeah, yeah, Sumita
Thank you
Phatak.
so much, Sumita ma'am, for helping Srini to do so well. Thank you so much, Srini. So I really want to continue our discussion. It's an amazing conversation with you, Srini. I enjoyed every moment. But now I think it's time to say a big thank you, and we are looking forward to meeting you in person soon. And thanks so much to all our viewers and listeners. And we are coming back with more episodes soon. Take care and have a great day, evening. Thank you so much.